And let's go. So it's working. Perfect. So welcome, Master Rig, to the syndicate. Thank you for being there and presenting your project. What we like to do here is
Yeah, of course.
maybe first introduce yourself, the team working with you, and then the project, and the stage is yours.
Yeah, of course. So, one of the founders of Metaminer. Metaminer is essentially a product that is fractionalizing Bitcoin mining with the utilization of NFT technology to show proof of ownership. So I've been in the space, and our whole team pretty much has been in the space since 2015. We've got into the whole cloud mining deal and signing on to 2-year contracts to be able to gain to be able to get some like Bitcoin or other coins that you were able to mine. I think Ethereum and Litecoin
Mm-hmm.
or some of the few that were operated or offered by Genesis Mining and some of these other cloud platforms. The problem with that is that you don't own the hardware, and there's really no proof of ownership, right? Like, what's entitling you to be able to own those bitcoins that are being mined, or whatever coin you are investing in and buying the contract from. So what we're doing is we are fractionalizing physical hardware of Bitcoin miners S19j Pros that we're partnered with Blockware Solutions on, and we're allowing anyone to get involved into Bitcoin mining with only $250. Normally, a miner would cost around like 10,000. If you want to start it up, it comes out to about like $15,000. So we're significantly reducing the cost of that, and then also making it liquid enough where you can sell on the secondary market, uh, and obviously have the backing of the physical
Your Wi-Fi is
hardware
you're having
of
connection issue.
the miner, which is the most important part of Bitcoin mining. As you hear me? Hello?
Yeah, no, it's working good.
Awesome. Yeah. So essentially, that's kind of what we're solving here. I don't know where I dropped off, but that's sort of the background of Metaminer.
Okay, sweet. And how does this thing's gonna work like with the NFT mint? What after that?
Yeah, so we have our whitelist mint tomorrow, and then our public mint on the 11th. So whitelist, the reason why we're doing this is essentially we can mint unlimited. It's not about the amount of NFTs. It's not a collection. It's not about the PFP and everything about that.
Mm-hmm.
What this essentially is the more money that we can raise through the mints is the more miners we can buy, which represents the more power our whole mining farm has. So a good question might be, okay, well, if we have 1,000 miners and you release another 1,000 miners later, 1,000 NFTs, then won't that dilute our percentage of the mining farm that we have? And essentially, no, because the extra $1,000 miners that we're raising through, or the dollar value we're raising through the extra 1,000 miners that we're launching, we're going to be putting into miners. So if we have 2x our NFT supply, that also means we're going to 2x our miner supply, which doubles our hash power. So we're going through the regular mint and NFT raise, which is tomorrow, whitelist, and then public sale. We're actually limiting to 150 because we really want to vet and make sure that we are getting people that are interested in the product, want to be part of a long-term solution to being able to fractionalize mining. And we feel like if we're just able to whitelist the specific addresses that actually want to mint from us, we're able to get people that are focused on more of the long-term growth rather than just kind of like a pump and dump and trying to pick up, a little bit of, 2x gains or whatever they want from minting and then selling on secondary. We want people, we're vetting people that are interested in the long-term value of the company.
Okay, and let's say I buy one, you start mining and getting some revenue. How are you gonna split those between the team, the holders? What's the percentage for that?
Yeah, good question. So the splits right now is let's say one Bitcoin gets mined, it is 70% of the Bitcoin gets pushed back to the miners. 20% will get put into a community wallet, which we can decide what to do with it. There's different things that we can do as a community. We're kind of projecting that majority of the community will vote to get that extra 20% pushed back to the holders. So now holders are netting 90%. And then 10% will be pushed to a maintenance wallet that's just there in case something happens with the miners and we need to have some liquid money to repair, etc.
Okay, Sweet. And what's gonna be the price for the mint?
Yeah, so we were trying to peg it to USD. Obviously, those of you who are following the market, it's been
Yeah.
pretty hectic. So we stood with point 0.1 Ethereum tomorrow, and then we're trying to keep it around the $240, $260 range for whitelist, and then public sale will be $300. So you're obviously getting in at a low rate. If anyone comes in through public sale, the whitelist, people who purchase during whitelist are actually being incentivized for whitelist because it will dollar cost average them to have a greater value of the hash power, if that makes sense.
Okay, sweet. And where the miner is gonna be like located in which?
Yeah, good question. So Blockware has a couple of facilities that are open right now. We're probably going to go with their Georgia location. We have signed on with them, so we are going to be obviously sending them the funds, and then once the funds get sent through, we'll kind of just say, hey, listen, you have this option, this option, this option. We're probably going to end up allowing our community to decide on what option to go to. So we kind of want our holders to be able to be available for that.
Okay, sweet. And after that, like, what is gonna be the stage after like the whitelist mint and the public mint? What's gonna happen next?
Yeah, so after the mints, we are going to be sending the funds directly to Blockware to get them up and running. I mean, it really depends on when the hashes will start. I think we'll start hashing probably a week from mint is kind of what we're looking for. And then once we go through that process, obviously we want to work out and make sure that everyone's getting their withdrawals with the Bitcoin that we're mining, and then we'll be kind of opening our token gated dashboard where people can log in and see, projections, how much Bitcoin they've been mining, and then the withdrawals as well. And then we have a lot of future announcements too, like a V2 drop, potentially switching over to a rolling mint, which will allow, everyone to be getting involved. I think the whole, where the rubber meets the road is where the whitelist people that are getting in now are getting it at a such better rate than what the rolling mint will be. The rolling mint will be pegged to $300. Whitelist is getting it at $250. So obviously there's a significant discount to getting in now.
Okay. And I also checked like on the Medium, you were talking about like launching a token.
Yeah, so that is in the future. Obviously, we're going to be running everything past the community. We've had an idea with the token, and what essentially the token would be is allowing outside people to buy contracts to invest in just the hash power. So if someone's like, hey, listen, we don't want to buy a Metaminer NFT, but we just want to buy the hash power for the next 6 months, we want to allow our users to be able to sell, almost essentially loan their NFT to outside people that don't want to buy the NFT, but just want to buy the hash power. And we would incorporate our token there. So they would have to purchase the Metaminer token. But that's all stuff that just kind of like we're throwing it out there. I think there's other utility that we could use with that token. But that is kind of like our thoughts right now. Like I said, this is something that we'll obviously have to run by the community. So it could be easily, taken off our roadmap. I feel like it's not fit anymore.
Okay. Let me check. Yeah, we have Tosh with a question. We can talk. Let's go.
Yeah, hello. How are you? I hope you guys are
good. How are you? Thanks for joining on the voice.
Yeah. Well, basically, my question is like a real case scenario. Like, for example, let's say that I don't know, in a 30-day basis, in a 30-day limit, the mining we had this amount of miners and they mined around this amount of Bitcoin, and from that Bitcoin 70% goes to the holders, and that 70%, how many holders are, and like how each holder will have a profit of X or Y or Z depending on the number of, like, I know you guys have done this to launch the project, like I don't know, maybe how much are we talking about, and what are an approximate numbers of like the profit out of being a holder of these the Metaminers?
Yeah, good question. Yeah, so I mean, obviously 70% is that guaranteed rate, right? I think we could totally see up to 90% being pushed back to holders. I think the community will probably vote just at the start to get all the community wallet funds out and pushed to holders. So would kind of start to think of it in more of a 90% standard. But in for the profit, I think what your question you're getting at is like, what are the next 30 days looking like, right? Like, what are the returns? It's so there's a lot of variables that go into this, right? It's the price of Bitcoin. It's also like the mining difficulty increase. It's the the uptime of the miners, right? A fraction of a percent of a 99% or 98% uptime means a decent amount of Bitcoin that we're missing out on. So that's all kind of things that you just have to think about in terms of the variable aspects of things. When you start to get into more of the break even side of things. Essentially, you have to remember that the backing of the coin is the hardware itself. The hardware, I mean, at least what we've been seeing with the S19J Pros, which is going to be our miner of choice, they haven't depreciated at all in the course of like the past 3 years, 4 years. So, you have to understand that the underlying value of the NFT itself is still going to hold dependent on how much the hardware is being worth. So the hardware could appreciate. So in the next 30 days, we're maybe locking in a price at S19s right now for, let's say, $8,000, but they could appreciate up to $9,000 in the next 30 days. So the NFT value itself is and technically based on like the value, the intrinsic value of the token and what it stands for, it should appreciate generally the same amount of percent. So that's just kind of like the appreciation of the NFT. On the other side, the cash out side of things, we're seeing, obviously it's hard to project in the future, but we're seeing that the break even is somewhere around like 20 months to 24 months to 30 months. It just depends on exactly, how long, what the difficulty is going to be increasing by, what the price of Bitcoin is going to be increasing by. And this is based on 100% ownership. So this means all the Bitcoin that you receive, you don't transfer immediately to USD. You're holding it, you're taking in the appreciation of it. So that's sort of per miner, and that would be per purchase of NFT as well. So hopefully that can answer your question. I know I can't really get like a next 30 days, but I can kind of do, if you could do it, it seems like it'd be, if 20 months, the next 20 days, you should see at least next 30 days should be at least like a 5% increase per month a month. And then obviously you got that minor increase, which is nice to have. At least you have that backing of the minor.
Yeah, like I perfectly understand the answer you gave me, and it's just a matter like I don't know. Some say to brag that I don't know. They do numbers like in a standard way of doing numbers, like in a standard or more daily basis of a day, like the Bitcoin being this, the amount of Bitcoin mined are this,
Yeah.
on a regular basis, they say it's going to be around this, the break even, how many, like this month's break even, then we're going to do this, like, there's
Mm,
so much variables in the market right now, and especially today that, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the shitcoins went to like, south right now. But this is not like the best moment to talk about it. But let's say like in I know you guys have done the numbers, have crunched the numbers to get like an idea to for us to be, interested in like. I don't want like the exact US dollars. I want like how many or like that kind of detail, not as much as the real one, but something that you guys might have crunched before launching.
yeah, I mean, it's definitely not going to be a break even in the next 30 days. Bitcoin mining is like a long term thing,
No,
but
sure.
I
I'm just
yeah, the break even for that is, let's say, like I think you should have a thought of it with this being like a 2 year horizon thing, with having, it's just like when you're buying a real estate, right? Like you buy real estate, it can get you rental income, and also the income, the rental appreciates in value as well. Like your break even on real estate, technically, if you're just doing off the base of the rental income, isn't for years, like 30, 10 years, 15 years. But at the same time, you're also getting the appreciation of the property. And that's kind of like the similar model that we're doing here, is that like, you know, we're really like transparent with it. And we'll probably have a little bit more details. Like we'll have an updating model for like people and rolling mint that want to get involved. Like they can see exactly, when their break even date would be based on the data that we've collected within the past, 12 months. When would be the break even? So we'll have that data like on our dashboard for you to see post launch. But in terms of like immediate launch, I think it's just like our whole thesis is just like, if you don't think you want to be in, I mean, I wouldn't say that because you can obviously sell on secondary, but this is a long-term horizon. This isn't something that like you're going to be breaking even the next 30 days. It's like you're buying it to get exposure to Bitcoin, to have non-KYC Bitcoin, to be able to, create a consistent passive income without having that big high upfront cost fee of $15,000.
Exactly. And the reason of my questioning is because we all know NFT space moves and changes too fast that a month looks like a 6 month or maybe a year. So if you're talking about like I don't know, like you said, like maybe 20 months, or let's make it 18 to 17 months. That's a whole lot of time in the NFT space. Like the thing is that uh, many people could get the doubt that if you guys are going to be there, like what are we going to do in the meanwhile? We get to that number, like to keep us on the loop, like you guys deliver. That's kind of a question when it's regarding to investment and hold on a long term hold. That's kind of basically the reason of my first question with the second one.
So what exactly is the question? Sorry,
Yeah,
I
like for
misunderstood.
we're talking about break even on a 20-month long term hold, right? So a 20-month long term hold in the NFT space, it's way too much. So many people prefer to do it on a short term or mid term, and a long term hold for 20 months. It's not that they won't do it, but like they have seen so many projects that are in the long term. You know, community starts to disappear. Things aren't done like they have been like static for some time. So like they're scared about so many time on the long term. So my question to you is like, is it going to be 20-month long term holding for the break even to get it? Uh, I think we the community has to be really engaged with you and keep on like moving and evolving with it.
I mean, like I said, it's like the 20. There's so many variables that go into this, right? It's like all about the price of Bitcoin appreciating too, and like what happens with Bitcoin. Like if you're pegging it to USD and you're talking about okay, $250, like I mean, you could buy and get the Bitcoin and it could appreciate, and then you could break even in the next year. You could break even in the next 6 months. Like, but I think generally speaking, there's a lot of variables that go into this, and I think maybe we're thinking about it wrong, right? We're not an NFT that's looking to appreciate in value. We're a project that's utilizing NFT technology for what it is, right? That's two total different valuations of a project, right?
Totally.
A
Yeah.
normal PFP, you would obviously, yeah, it's a long hold, 2 years. You're not looking to hold a flip for more than 3 weeks sometimes, maybe even a week. Like I'm an NFT person myself. I'm interested in NFTs and I like to invest. I'm a Doodles holder and all of that. I like Doodles long term, but like I would never say if Doodles came to me and said, "Hey, listen, like you got to hold this for 2 years," I'd be like, it would be hard for me to make a decision on that. But I think like at the end of the day is we're just utilizing NFT technology. We're not a PFP. I mean, we do have some cool animated art, but we're not a PFP, right? We're utilizing the technology for what it is, and I think that's where that's where
Yeah,
we're
yeah,
kind of adding value to the space.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah,
Sorry, like you're doing like I think most of us or 100% of us will have always wanted to do. Have a minor farm with a good software and run it, but nobody had the funds or the time or the liquidity to do it. And if you guys do it,
exactly.
that'll be awesome. My only thing is that not for us. Like I think I'm talking for all of us that we have a more educated set of mind in this space. I'm talking about that kids or that people that are in your community that grind that don't have that kind of education of how to mint, how to exit, how to do it. They just want to flip it. Those kinds of people are the ones that can do many harms to the community. And for you guys that are, if I'm gonna buy an NFT from you, I know that it's going to be a long term. Like in 2 years, we're going to start seeing a real profit. Maybe it's going to be shorter. Like we don't know if tomorrow Bitcoin will be around 60K because because crypto being crypto, and we are on a 6 month midterm plan, and we're done. Like we're getting profits right away. But who knows? I know like in NFT space combined with the real thing of investing is something that most people have to understand. Us, we understand it perfectly. Like if we want to buy like for example, right now it's the best time to buy this kind of projects to invest while there's a bearish market. If there's a bearish market, you know the miners are going to be still out there, and they're going to still be doing some profit. Not as much as they plan to, but profit is profit by doing with the miners. So I think it's a great project. I'm just trying to understand it better.
Yeah, of course, totally get it. Like, totally makes sense. And I think, it's just like you said. I think what resonated really well with me was that you said, like, we all want to have a mining farm, but we just don't have the price to be able to put that in. Nor do you want to invest $15,000. Maybe you just want to do it on the side, and that's what we're doing, right? You can invest 5,000 if you wanted to, like, and you're still going to reap the benefits of basically having your own mining farm. You just don't have to like maintain it, which is a big plus. Like, a lot of people say they want to have like a mining farm, and I went through that whole thing. I've done the maintenance, and I've done like the in-house mining, and having to set up all like the heat transfer and worrying about all that, and if something goes down, having to get it up and running as possible, you're losing money. Like, that are all variables that are just like more of a headache rather than like actually making it fun and like creating sustainable income.
Yeah.
I'd like to obviously run it back to it having the backing of the actual miner itself, right? Like, the $250 you're investing is always going to be backed by the hardware. You can sell that at any time for face value. Like, that's the most important part as well. Is like, you can liquidate this so much faster than liquidating
Yeah.
a
That's the
other
way of
miner,
doing
right?
it.
And we're going to create a marketplace within our application that allows people can come in and mint, or they can buy on secondary marketplace and say, hey, listen, like, this person's selling their Metaminer for $240. You can get a discount of $10 to just purchase it right off of them. And I think like we're going to provide liquidity in that sense for you guys, making sure that it's liquid. And I think that's like kind of like the best case scenario.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Have been answered, and I hope you do well and success in it.
Thank you
Yeah,
for
thanks
the
for the
questions,
questions.
BD.
Yep.
I think Architecto, you joined late, but maybe can you answer that again? Where's the location of the mining? You said Georgia, right?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a few. There's Georgia and Arkansas. We might split both. We're still in talking with Blockware. I think like the whole thing comes with, what they were saying is it's good to like decentralize, right? So in a sense, if you do use two different locations, then you limit the risk of like if one central location goes down, you still have the other one that you can, clock and start to hash a little bit more to pick up for the other miners that are down. So we're thinking about that, just diversifying between two locations, but it looks like it's probably going to be the Georgia one. It all gets solidified once we send over the payment. So yeah.
And you have, so that was answered, but so for the new joiner, do you have a timeline of mining starts and when will be 100% mining be achieved? So there won't be 100% achieved because there's no limit to this project, right?
Yep. Yeah, correct. So it's it's unlimited for whitelist, and then obviously public. We're hoping we can reach that 150 mint out just on the second day, and that's just because we want to just incentivize people to come in on the whitelist, and then we obviously have the public in case the whitelist people are getting their friends in. And they're like, hey, listen, you're gonna purchase this tomorrow.
And question from Kev, there are a lot of variables that can go up and down. You guys are estimating 20 months for break-even with current conditions, I'm guessing. Is there any plan to find additional or alternative income funds, or plan B in case BTC starts going to zero next year, for example? Or for now, this kind of thing is left open to be managed by the DAO when the time comes?
Yeah, good question. So yeah, we probably would go to our community and just say, hey, if something were, obviously you got to think of the worst case. We personally, like, we're not getting into mining because we think it's going away. We only think it's going to go up. But let's just say all things loose, if something happens, yeah, we would go to the community and say, what do you guys want to do with it? Do we want to liquidate our miners? And we would probably end up just giving the funds to like a crypto native hedge fund and letting them trade it. So that's kind of like our backup solution, but that would be a whole rebrand. You know, we'd obviously would have to talk and allow the DAO to vote on that.
Okay, thanks. And yes, Ogi also asked, what are you mining with? I think a lot of people joined late.
Break even. Yeah. So the what I mean by the break even is that like the original 250 that you put in, you'll be receiving that 20 months later. But like I said, so that's like with the Bitcoin that you mined, you're going to be receiving that 20 months later. So like you'll receive $250 worth of Bitcoin. So 100% gain just from the Bitcoin you mined. But obviously on top of that, you also have to think that you have, like I said, the face value of the hardware, right? So it's you'll still have that initial $250 as well. So technically you'll have $500 in your wallet, let's say, speaking, if the hardware stays the same. But $250 of that is gains. Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah. I think I see no more question. If someone want to come up stage, ask a question, or if you have like some technical question to ask, go ahead in the BT asking whitelist for listeners.
Yeah, so everyone who's in here, just jump in our Discord. You could probably find it on my profile link. I think Adam Boy, you could probably send it too. And then just say, just message in the main chat. Say, hey, listen, I'm from Syndicate Syndicate 893, or just say I'm from 893. We'll whitelist you, and you can drop your address in one of the channels that will open up once you get that role. Or you can just kind of message me or send me a friend request directly, and I can get your Discord server username. I actually will have, maybe if you could open something or just drop, just say whitelist in the Metaminer chat that you guys are chatting in right now, and then you can get me your Discord usernames over, and I can kind of allocate them then.
Sweet, thank you.
Or even your addresses. So we can figure it out. Everyone in the syndicate's whitelisted.
Great question, BT. Great. Sogi's typing.
Awesome.
Let's fucking go. Let me check. No, I think you explained it well, and the biggest issue right now is the market condition. But no, the project is great. Like it allows people that don't have the liquidity to actually take part in the mining process of like the cryptocurrency, which is fine. I think it's like a small investment and you can experience that.
Yeah, I think it's a great project. It's definitely something that's going to be long term. It's not just pump and dump. It's going to be a community driven project with that has intrinsic value. And I guess if there's any more questions, you guys can just message it in
we have
chat too.
One here, don't know any stuff on taxes on mining, but have you considered that doing it in US or other country? Actually, like, is there a tax on mining?
Yeah, so the taxes, it's like non-KYC. When we reach that point, if there needs to be something, we can talk about that. But for right now, we're not really worried too much about that.
Your Wi-Fi acting as like in the middle of your answer.
Sorry, yeah, I said we're not too worried about that at the moment. And we'll bring a tax consultant on and talk more about that.
Okay.
Awesome.
I don't see another question. No one's typing. So guys, as Master Rick said, if you have any other kind of questions, just jump into their Discord. Also, they grant us like whitelist. Just go into Discord general chat and say that you're from the syndicate and you listen to the AMA, and you'll have whitelist. So, Rick, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for letting me join
the project.
Yep. See you, everyone.
Stay in touch. See ya. Thank you.